Okay, so I just got back from watching the Batman fan screening. I was able to actually go and see it in IMAX, which was a fantastic experience. I've barely seen any IMAX movies, and I really want to try to do more of it because there's no greater experience than sitting in that theater, the movie shooting stuff in your eyeballs. I feel like my head's gonna explode, but in any case, the Batman stars Robert Pattinson, or Battinson as, I like to call him, or, some other people have. You also have Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Colin Farrell, unrecognizable as Penguin. We will talk about him in a little bit later. Directed by Matt Reeves, this movie had a lot of hype going into it. I myself was looking forward to this movie ever since they announced it, ever since DC Fandom happened 2 years back and Matt Reeves showed us a glimpse of what he had in store. And we knew it was going to be a murder mystery. We knew it was going to be all about this, seedy underbelly Gotham City that they've always talked about, but never really showed. I think Matt Reeves pulled it off. Now, if you are finding this video, you probably have heard all this stuff. You know that it's a noir story. You know that it is going to be much more of a serial killer type 7 inspired movie. I didn't know how far Matt Reeves was going to take it, and he delivered. When I was watching this movie, I got shades of Seven, I got shades of Chinatown, I got shades of All the President's Men. Everything that Matt Reeves said he was going to be inspired by, he wasn't just whistling Dixie. It was all of those movies and more. I think Todd Phillips could learn a lot about taking inspiration from something as opposed to blatantly ripping it off. He said he was inspired by Taxi Driver to do Joker, and then Todd Phillips basically just remade Taxi Driver and called it Joker. Matt Reeves took inspiration from these great movies, but at the same time had something new to offer. The movie, let's talk about the positives first. Robert Pattinson is my favorite Batman. From every little movement to every eye twitch, every time he walks into a room, you feel that this is Batman. And this is the most Batman we've ever had in a Batman movie. So much so, this felt kind of like an animated movie, like Under the Red Hood, Mask of the Phantasm, where Batman takes up a bulk of the screen time. This felt like that. There's barely any Bruce Wayne to this, which kind of ties into one small problem I have, which we will talk about in the end. Do not worry. We will talk about everything, but let's talk about the most important character in this movie, and that is Gotham City. This is hands down the best interpretation of Gotham we've ever gotten. In Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan did his best to make it look like a sort of Blade Runner type future LA environment. In this one, Matt Reeves goes even further. The city of Gotham feels like a fully fleshed out character, and it really shows the enormity of the mission that Bruce Wayne has undertaken. The beginning of the movie, you're seeing how truly awful Gotham is, and you're sitting there going, how can anyone even approach trying to fix this place? And as the movie goes on, you see how truly corrupt it is to its core. Without getting too spoilery, do not worry, I will not spoil a single thing. This movie delivers on what I've always wanted to see, and that is a Batman murder mystery. You see him going to crime scenes. You see him picking up clues. Without getting into too many details, he has technology that feels like it's ripped right out of the Arkham games. It felt awesome. It is something I've always wanted to see. Because the other movies didn't really go into it. Batman versus Superman, he's going after someone called the White Portuguese, and that becomes something that they sweep away. In The Dark Knight, there is a bullet in a wall. He cuts out a piece of the wall and scans it and knows where the Joker is. I guess that's a mystery element. If anyone can figure out that scene, you should get an honorary PhD. I've tried to watch it, I still don't get it. But anyway, this movie delivered on it. In addition to that, a big fear I had going into this is, all right, it's 3 hours. There's a lot of characters. Is it going to feel overstuffed? Because when a comic book movie has these, all these kinds of characters, you wonder, is it going to do it justice? Get it? Get it? Justice? All right, I'll stop talking about that. Anyway, so what this movie was able to do was create a way to organically implement all these characters without seeming like it's being forced. There's a reason why Penguin's there. There's a reason why Catwoman's there. There is a reason why Falcone's there, or Falcone. The Riddler basically acts as sort of this match. Gotham City is a powder keg, and he's the match that's going to light it all up. He motivates Batman into going into the seedy underbelly of Gotham, and it is through the Riddler that all of these mysteries are unearthed. I'm really trying my best to avoid talking about spoilers because what the trailers were able to do was successfully show what the movie is without showing too much. I do think WB showed way too many clips in the last 2 weeks leading up to this. There are some clips I would have rather have not seen. Of course, I can't help myself. I have a problem. I literally would stay up late at night watching these clips because I have no social life. But if they just held back a little bit, I think it would have made all the difference. There are some things the Batsuit can do. I literally felt like cheering. Again, no spoilers, but the action of this movie. This is hands down, visually, the best looking Batman movie. And I'm going to say it, visually the best looking comic book movie I've ever seen. We will talk about rankings and all that towards the end, but every shot of this movie could be framed as a painting, and I truly mean that. I got, elements of like Blade Runner 2049. This is how beautiful Greg Fraser was able to make this movie. He is the next Roger Deakins. He is impeccable. You have Dune coming out last year, The Batman coming out this year. This movie is a shoo-in for an Academy Award nomination for Best Cinematography. Not that I care about the Academy Awards because, it's kind of a joke at this point, but I really want this recognition. This movie needs the recognition for how good the cinematography is. There is one shot in this movie, I want it framed. I will take down that Frank Sinatra picture. I'm not kidding. It looks magnificent. In addition to that, you also have the score. Michael Giacchino is one of my favorite film composers of all time, and what he was able to do with this score, I can still hear it in my mind. I'm listening to it. I downloaded it. I think Hans Zimmer's score is just a little bit better. It has higher highs, but this one's very consistent. This one is phenomenal. There is a standout scene. I'm sure you all have heard about it. The Batmobile scene. The drums were going. It was pounding my skull. Like my head was going to explode. Visually, it looked great. Michael Giacchino's score was popping off. It's around the midpoint of the movie, and that is the highlight action scene of the movie. That is worth the price of admission alone. I can't talk highly about it enough. We talk about the action, talk about the score, talk about the mystery. The characters were great. All of them. Catwoman, this is hands down my favorite interpretation of Catwoman. I've never liked Batman Returns. Michelle Pfeiffer is always, she's good, but the script ultimately is kind of a mess. But this was perfect. This utilized her in a way that was very efficient. Zoe Kravitz owned this role. What she was able to bring to this story really showed the effects that Gotham have had on these people. Even Paul Dano as the Riddler, who I thought was a fantastic villain, felt like a real-life sociopath. There's moments, even the beginning of this movie, that felt like I was watching a horror movie. I felt like I was watching Jigsaw, and I don't even like Jigsaw, but it works so well for this movie. You see how awful Gotham is and the effects that it has had on all these characters. People are just trying to get by, and that's what this movie really sells. If I can talk about some negatives, because I do have a few, I feel like this movie is sort of the antithesis of Batman Begins. Batman Begins, if I had to give it a rating, it's like an A. This movie is also an A. Batman Begins is all emotion. It's all about Bruce Wayne. It is all about the journey he goes on to become his better self. This movie, which as you probably know, skips over his origin, gets right into the heart of the Batman. It was missing some of that heart that I really liked about the Nolan movies, especially Batman Begins. There's not too much Alfred in this movie. Again, no spoilers, but Alfred isn't really a main character in this movie. And I really feel like he was genuinely the heart and soul of the story. I just felt like towards the end, as Batman's going on this journey, I wish there was a bit more Alfred to kind of pack that emotional punch, to kind of tie a nice ribbon on it. I did, as you can tell by the thumbnail, comparing it to Dark Knight, even though it is way too early, I still think the Dark Knight is a little bit better. Again, if the Batman is an A, the Dark Knight's an A+. I think that was an overall better package, but I will say this is visually better than the Dark Knight. This is my favorite interpretation of the character of Batman, and I can assure you I will be watching this many, 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 many times. Overall, I think that this is a fantastic comic book movie. I was not let down. I think that this is going to deliver on all the promises it made. And I truly feel like this isn't going in the right hands. Matt Reeves sets this up perfectly for a sequel. When this ends, I was like, give me another one. I have to wait 3 years? Are you kidding me? Give me another one. The way this story ends, it perfectly caps up Bruce Wayne's story. Again, I wish there was a little bit more heart. I wish that there was... Also, if I do have a little nitpick, Batman gets effed up in this movie. There's a few moments where you're like, yeah, you should be dead, buddy. But he just keeps on walking and they never really talk about it. Again, small nitpick. I wish I had a little bit more of an emotional punch, but that doesn't stop this movie from being a fantastic Batman movie. My favorite interpretation of the character. Robert Pattinson is Batman. I can't wait to see what he and Matt Reeves have in store for the sequel. Definitely guarantee this. That gets the Jeff Goodwin guarantee, which I know means absolutely nothing to anyone watching, but maybe it will one day. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoy this movie. If you've seen it, comment below. Let me know what you think about this. And yeah, have a good day. I'm Vengeance.